What's the most terrifying scientific theory known to man? Story one, it's hard to beat the one where reality is way, way bigger than just the Earth around us. Most of it is rapidly killing nothingness that goes on and on and on, and we seem to play no special part in it. If we weren't used to it, the notion that all those stars in the sky are really far away suns and the sun itself is a huge fireball far bigger than Earth would scare the snot out of us. Story two, I will speak the great filter. Life should be everywhere. It probably won't happen on its own, but with trillions of planets and billions of years, we can't be the only ones. So where is everyone? Some people say it could be because of the Great Filter, which is a theoretical barrier that makes it practically impossible for life to move forward. We might be the only planet to have passed it, or it might still be coming, and we are the only ones remaining. Some possible choices are the creation of nuclear weapons, climate change, leaving our planet before something bad occurs to it, and the genesis of eukaryotic cells. Story 3. A hypothesis suggests that we may have encountered this exact moment previously because of the universe's cyclical structure. This hypothesis posits that as the universe approaches the conclusion of its expansion phase, it may enter a contraction phase referred to as the Big Crunch, subsequently leading to a renewed expansion. This cyclical process could lead to the cosmos reforming in a way that is exactly like how it has done in the past. Nonetheless, it is crucial to acknowledge that although this concept has been suggested, it needs empirical validation and remains conjectural. If this concept were accurate, there would be a genuine potential of reliving our lives as the universe undergoes periodic phases. You might read this again and again someday. You probably have. One could contend that the probability of the universe reforming in a similar fashion is substantiated by the observation that it has already manifested in this way inside our known cosmos. This repeat indicates a degree of consistency or recurrence in the mechanisms driving cosmic evolution, perhaps enhancing the hypothesis's credibility. This conclusion, on the other hand, is based on guesswork and needs more proof. They look into this notion in Futurama, which is very cool. If this is true, and a big crunch is imminent, then you might be reborn in the same body in life, almost like a long sleep. And who knows, maybe that's why we feel like we've been there before. Maybe it's our brain's way of telling us to notice these possible cycles. That's an interesting idea. Story 4. There is a big valley in the United States where the most productive farming is located. It floods badly every few hundred years. If there were another flood there, there would be shortages of several common crops across the country and even some crops around the world. But not many people really care about that risk because the area wasn't well developed the last time there was a big flood there, and the rest of the country was busy with other things in 1862. According to Scientific American, was the flood of 1861-62 a one-time thing? It doesn't look like it. New research on sediment deposits in many places shows that California has been hit by huge floods like this every 2 centuries or so for at least the last 2,000 years. You're talking about California's Central Valley, the breadbasket of the US, and the risk is real. The 1861-62 flood, sometimes called the Arc Storm scenario today, turned much of it into an inland sea, bankrupting the state and killing thousands. If it happened again, we're not just talking about local disaster relief. We'd be looking at massive disruptions to national and global food supply chains, especially for crops like almonds, lettuce, rice, and tomatoes. The scary part? Climate change may make an arc storm more likely in our lifetime, and unlike in the 1800s, the region is now full of millions of people, vast infrastructure, and agriculture that the world depends on. It's a slow-burning disaster risk almost nobody's prepared for. Story 5. False vacuum or vacuum decay. Particles like to be in the most stable and lowest energy state possible. We think we know where that is, and most of the cosmos, in terms of space, has gotten there. Everything is fine, but what if there is a state lower? Picture a road that goes up and down through the mountains. You travel up to 500 meters, then down to 50 meters, then up to 100 meters, and finally down to 0 meters. What if everything is settling in that 50-meter area and the hump of 100 meters is keeping everything there? That's fine, right? That 100-meter bump isn't going to erode because we're dealing about real forces of nature, not a metaphor. It's known that particles basically tunnel. At the subatomic level, it's just something they do. So one digs and falls. Like it can sink to that lower energy state because it simply happened to tunnel through the hill. At this moment, our metaphor completely falls apart. There is there is no communication or real sentience going on here. Yet a particle will know that there is a lower energy level while it is in that higher one. It sees or feels, or whatever you want to call it, that one below. And so do the other particles. This happens rather fast. Once someone finds that lower energy level, many people join them. The situation gets worse and worse, and everything falls to that lower energy condition. I mean all of it. Everything that can will draw down and it will ripple out at the speed of light. As the ripple sweeps through the galaxy, everything starts to break down. You won't see it coming. You'll only get caught up in it as your constituent matter gets worse and worse. The best part is that it might have already happened. We have no idea. After all, the ripple would move at the speed of light. It could have happened 200 years ago, 201 light years away. Story 6, the meta-science theories, or the ideas about the ideas. The first thing that gives me the creeps is Kurt Gödel's theorem of incompleteness. Any theoretically coherent system that facilitates arithmetic involving natural numbers is incapable of proving all true claims within that system. Specifically, such a system cannot demonstrate its own consistency. The second issue that bothers me is that relativity theory and the standard model both exist at the same time. The theory of relativity is the best explanation we have for gravity. The standard model is the most accurate explanation we have for electromagnetism, strong and weak nuclear forces. But they don't work together. Relativity does not recognize the validity of quantum mechanics within its framework, and the standard model does not accept the reality of gravity within its framework. Both of these are working theories that are strangely at odds with one another. Story 7. The Great Attractor is a real phenomena. The Great Attractor is a strange gravitational force in intergalactic space at the core of the Laniakea supercluster. It shows that there is a concentration of mass there that is tens of thousands of times more massive than the Milky Way. You may see this mass by how it affects the velocity of galaxies and their clusters in a region that is hundreds of millions of light years across. The Shapley supercluster is traveling toward the Great Attractor. Story 8, Matter that is dark. Scientists think there is dark matter because something we can't see is making gravity. This idea is vague since we don't know much about what it is, but we do know that something is making gravity. It looks like a shadow. You don't know what's making the shadow, but you know something is there. That's a good analogy. Dark matter is basically the universe's invisible scaffolding. We can't see it, can't touch it, and can't detect it directly, but its gravitational effects are everywhere, keeping galaxies from flying apart, bending light from distant stars, and shaping the cosmic web. It's frustrating and fascinating at the same time. We know something is there, yet it's still one of physics' biggest, we can measure it but can't explain it mysteries. The shadow is clear. The object casting it? Not so much. Story 9, that being said, it's very likely that the history of humanity is considerably longer, older, and more enigmatic than we can conceive. Not in an ancient aliens manner, since that's stupid, but in a there's so much we don't know way. The oldest Homo sapiens we've uncovered are 300,000 years old. That's just what we've found that has lived to be found. Our kind could be thousands of years older. But even in that 300,000 years, we only know what we did from archaeological data. There could be a lot more that didn't survive or hasn't been found yet. Technology, like metallurgy, agriculture, and domestication, came around just before the Bronze Age, but it's possible that much older instances were around in our past history. Think about 20,000-year-old bronze or 50,000-year-old sheep herders, maybe even a really old city that was very advanced for its period, like the Bronze Age. Story 10, the theory of the multiverse. I find it hard to believe that everything that exists had a beginning and that it all started with the Big Bang. The universe is getting bigger right now, which means there is a space for it to grow into. This space would have existed before the Great Bang, and I don't think there is just nothing in it. I believe there is a between space outside of our reality that keeps us apart from other universes. Maybe the universe is speeding up because the matter from our universe is eating up this between space, which makes it grow faster and faster. It could be that matter naturally fills this space between things, which is why our expansion keeps speeding up. Story 11. The planet has grown to its current size from a time long ago when all the continents fit together on a smaller globe. There weren't any big oceans, just shallow pools of water. This is why the ocean floor is only a few million years old, whereas the surface is considerably older. This is why there are fossilized African animals on the east coast of the United States and in all of the nearby states. Even Antarctica, when it was a lush green place, probably had a lot of prehistoric animals. As the planet got bigger, its gravity probably got stronger, and dinosaurs that were too enormous to live died under their own weight. No one understands where the water would come from in this case to make the oceans we have now, or how the size expansion happens. A study of other planets in the solar system might help. If the Earth were to be shrunk back to its original size, with no seas between them but the same water levels as today, the whole Earth would be covered by one enormous ocean. This may account for why there are sea life fossil deposits on every mountain summit on the planet. Story 12. I'm not sure about terrifying, but the Pixar conspiracy idea does have certain points that you don't see in a lot of the popular YouTube videos that connect one movie to another. I can't remember the name of the site, but this guy makes a Pixar timeline utilizing proof from each movie. Some parts made me feel uneasy since they showed how people ruin the Earth, how the toys in Toy Story need people to stay alive, and something is hinted at soon after that blew my mind, and so on. I'm sorry, but I can't recall the site. You may try searching for Pixar Conspiracy Theory Full or anything like that. You should look for a blog or website with blue and white background banners, I think. The dude updates it a lot, but I haven't seen it in a long time. Good luck with your search, and I liked your idea. Story 13. Have you seen the movie The Cube? What's perhaps scarier than most of these conspiracy theories is that even though they look like they are connected and planned, they probably aren't. No, what's far scarier is that our whole civilization is essentially a big machine that grew out of hundreds of years of bureaucrats, with no goal, no control, and no direction. That no one is in charge of what we've done, even though it's moving quickly, and that chaos is the end of everything. That although we have achieved a great many things, we are developing and setting into motion the very engines of our destruction, blindly, and unable to change course. We have made machines that are bigger than us, machines that don't have a soul or a consciousness, and we have handed these machines all the power. So, in the end, the fear is that there is no control, no evil, no plot, and that we are just at the mercy of fate. Story 14, that aliens have really gotten in touch with our government, because it suggests that there are really smart entities who think it's okay to let humans kill each other and have corrupt governments instead of stepping in. You wouldn't want to communicate with any alien race that would let the US government keep their presence a secret and would work with this government, which plainly doesn't represent the rights, desires, or voting habits of the American people. If aliens are here, they don't mind that North Korea is starving its own people to make a political point against the US and the South. That's an unsettling point. If aliens are in contact with governments, their decision to stay quiet or even cooperate, despite human suffering, says a lot about their ethics or their priorities. It flips the usual aliens will save us fantasy on its head. Instead of benevolent cosmic guardians, they'd be acting more like detached anthropologists, observing, maybe influencing in secret, but never intervening to stop injustice. And if they're fine with partnering with corrupt systems, that raises the question, are they really more advanced morally or just technologically? Really? Story 15. Of all the why haven't we met aliens yet? Ideas or paradoxes, the one that interests me the most is the one that says we are being watched, and that we haven't been deemed worthy of contact yet because of how we act or how little technology we have. It's not the most plausible answer, but it's amusing. I really think the Christmas tree story is the finest one. Picture a Christmas tree with lights that twinkle all the time. This is the universe. We are one of the lights on the tree. We would have to have our light on and theirs on, and we would have to be close enough to see each other in order to initiate contact with another civilization. We could be at the bottom of the tree and they could be at the top. It doesn't matter that our lights are on at the same moment. We aren't close enough. We might be on the same branch, but right now we're in space and they're beating up animals and living in caves. We won't ever see each other. Story 16. This theory has made me feel uneasy or interested in a way that not many others have. The theory of quantum immortality. This does include quantum physics, so get ready for things to get a little strange and strange. You should also be careful with this theory. This is similar to the well-known Schrodinger's cat theory. Picture yourself in a room. There is a bomb in the room. There are a lot of situations like this, but let's just stay with this one for now. When you push a button on the bomb, it makes two parallel worlds, one where you live and one where the bomb goes off and you die. We don't know for sure, but let's just say that when we die, we don't have a consciousness. We can't live in the universe where we die since we don't have a consciousness when we die. The only thing we can do is live, which makes us immortal. We can keep pushing the button, and the universes keep splitting in half over and over again, unless we get to a really small number like the Planck length, where our understanding of physics and reality starts to fall apart. Story 17. This one is fun, but it might also make you feel dizzy. The hypothesis of multiple universes says that there are an endless number of universes where every potential outcome has happened. One where you read this comment and threw up on the phone, one where a bug flew into your eye at that exact moment, or one where you are a flying, intelligent hippo the size of Europe floating through space with a Gatling gun made of noodles. And the noodles are made of something else strange. You get the idea. Story HD. I once heard an idea that maybe all the aliens had gotten so smart that they made weapons that could destroy worlds, galaxies, species, and other things without leaving a trace. Then they used such weapons to kill each other in a battle. After millions of years, another species came, and then another, and then another, all repeating the cycle for millions of years. Now it's our turn, and the next species has little to no proof that we or any of the creatures before us ever existed. It's a crazy idea that sounds more like a storyline from a sci-fi movie, but it's nonetheless strange to think about. That's a chilling twist on the Fermi paradox. Not that advanced civilizations self-destruct accidentally, but that they wipe each other out so thoroughly no trace remains. It paints the galaxy like a cosmic graveyard, where every intelligent species is just the latest in an endless cycle of rise, arm, annihilate, erase. If that's true, then our radio telescopes aren't finding signs of life because the last batch of civilizations made sure nothing survived to tell the tale. And the scariest part? We might already be well into our turn in the cycle without realizing it. Story 19. After they erected the last telescope and got a picture of where the Great Bang happened, they found that there are more than 300,000 galaxies where it happened. Physicists and astrologers say that the universe was made 13.7 billion years ago and that it is getting bigger all the time. Galaxies and planets are moving apart from each other all the time. The Great Bang happened, and the universe was created and started to grow. But galaxies and stars didn't form right away because there was nothing to make them from. It took between 300,000 and 3 billion years for galaxies to form. The universe is getting bigger, and it took a long time for things to form. For the first 300,000 to 3 billion years after the Big Bang, there shouldn't have been any planets or galaxies because they hadn't formed yet. The telescope collected photographs of hundreds of thousands of galaxies that were formed after the Big Bang. If the Great Bang happened there, how do you explain the fact that galaxies are 13.7 billion years away from us? I'm not sure if I expressed it well or if you get it, but I think you get what I mean. Story 20. The idea of checking the SPO. Two of persons who are positive for COVID and giving them oxygen support if their levels are below a certain level without thinking about the risks of oxygen support. People often had O2 support during life-threatening situations, and it was helpful for a few hours. No one would wonder whether there is a limit on how long a patient may be administered O2. Oxygen toxicity comes in, the Paul Bert effect. Stress from oxidation. When a person gets more O2, their bodies have to deal with more oxidative stress. The antioxidants do a good job of neutralizing the oxygen-free radicals that are generated when oxygen is used up. But after a lengthy time of being exposed, the oxidative stress is too great for the body to tolerate and damage to the alveoli becomes obvious. If someone is given 100% oxygen, they will die from lung damage and breathing problems in 2 to 3 days. If they are given more than 60% oxygen, they will die in a week or two. The increased O2 will also have a narcotic effect, making the patient unable to communicate concern and giving them a stoned feeling. If a person with COVID died from acute respiratory distress, it would be hard to tell if it was due of COVID or because the O2 support caused deadly oxidative stress to the lungs. Story 21. So this isn't terrifying at all, it's just a reaction to all the chatter about aliens or the lack of them. I'm sure that people who are brighter than me have already figured this out or at least come up with a name for the hypothesis. But here it is. Think about how much we've learned about things that are far away without even getting close to them. Now think about how much more we will be able to explore and discover from a distance when we can go from one solar system to another. Maybe aliens haven't contacted us because they don't have a purpose to come to Earth. Maybe they know that our stuff would scare the hell out of them if they showed up, and there's no reason for them to, so they don't. We might get to the point where we can explore the universe in a virtual world and just go to other planets in this solar system. After all, why take the danger of doing what we can already do from home? It's really arrogant to think that we are worth visiting, destroying, or anything else. Story 22. You are the only thing that exists, and when you die, you will go back to your original state. Unending, terrible loneliness that makes you go crazy. Alone in a black void with nothing but despair. And if you want to go away from there, you'll make another situation where you live in a society or with other living things, seeking to find love and companionship, but never feeling whole or happy. There will be times when you know nothing is real, but you can't accept it or change it. In the end, you will die again and see the reality. And you will keep starting the show over and over again for all time. A never-ending cycle of falsehoods, pain, and misery. I often felt that way when I was a kid and a teenager. Story 23. The Matrix is the world we can see all around us. We are stuck in this planet. We are fully at the mercy of this world and our own senses. Getting free of this feeling of false reality is like disconnecting from the Matrix. The Matrix, or the world, is everywhere. The stuff that makes up our bodies comes from it. Think about it. Your body is made up of things that are on Earth. You have made your body out of the food you have eaten. If you don't eat, you will die eventually. So we are bound. Not breathing the air can kill you right away. This is slavery. Our own wants, needs, and choices limit us. We are imprisoned by our own minds, which is a prison for the mind. The ego entity tries to protect itself by keeping up the lies it tells itself. People don't know much about who they really are, but they do know a lot. We are not sure where we fit in the universe, and we don't know all about it. We know very nothing about the universe, but we presume we know how the other 99% of it works based on the little information we have received through our limited senses. We think we know everything, which is the funniest thing. The ego is saying it is in charge when it doesn't really know. The mind divides and tries to understand the nature of reality, but it forgets that breaking things up would only give it limited and partial information. To quote the best movie ever, "The Matrix is everywhere. It's all around us. Right now, in this room. You can see it on your TV or when you peek out your window. You can feel it at work, when you go to church, when you file your taxes. The globe has been pulled over your eyes to keep you from seeing the reality." Neo. What truth? Morpheus. You are a slave, Neo. You were born into slavery like everyone else, into a prison that you can't see, hear, or feel. A prison for your mind. This world, my fellow prisoner, is the Matrix. Welcome to the real world. Story 24. I keep worrying that when I wake up, I'll find out I'm already dead. If I died and found out I could do anything, like in The Good Place, where this door would transfer me to any world I wanted, I would put myself in movie or book worlds where I could do XYZ. If the afterlife is permanent, I'd probably become bored of it after a while and start erasing my memory for a short time, while I lived in the various realities I just outlined. I'm scared that I've already done this, and that this is one of the worlds. Anyway, story 25. That all hypotheses and hypothesis arguments are a preset collection of knowledge that others have agreed to be true. At one time, everyone on Earth thought the planet was flat and that ships could fall over the edge. Scholars and the most intelligent people all agreed on one thing without a doubt. The ground was flat. Of course, this has altered over time and now the Earth is round. It is true. We might find out tomorrow that the world looks like a dog. It will be something that everyone agrees on if the data and proof say so. The most frightening notion and hypothesis posits that our knowledge is limited to our perceptions. Truth of existence is a compilation of knowledge we understand, unified by consensus of seen truth. I don't think people ever fully agreed that the planet was flat. Some cultures easily accepted it, but most major civilizations in ancient history had academics and pre-scientists who thought and even showed that the Earth was round. They even went so far as to figure out how big it was with a lot of accuracy. Most people probably didn't know what the world was truly like. They probably just thought, hey, the part I can see is pretty flat. And then they made that assumption about the rest of it.